will be the one showing this is how you do it with Chogao.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Now they're going to be going into second picks here, and they could run it if they have a way to hide it and show it, or hide it and then show it at the end of the draft. So I'm not entirely sure why we don't have our map ready yet, but it is going to be the map pick of Mighty. Might just go with another map like Cursed Hollow. That's where they can use their macro plays to get an advantage like they did in Game 1. Would not shock me in the slightest. That's probably going to be the plan. Maybe Towers of Doom would be. It's unusual to see Towers of Doom picked this early in a best of 5, but it's another one they could run to. Well, I'm thinking bigger maps, macro plays, and just win like they did in game number 1.
Yeah, that's right. Oftentimes, Raven, since phase number 1, they were mostly building draft into the team fight. Not much of the macro. Sometimes we've seen them trying sometimes, like with Volstad and the Haka picks, but it was not too coordinated. It was not too perfect. Oftentimes, a shot calling to come in for the fight was late or off. So they went back into the team fighting only comp. And when they were up against the big macro maps, as you just said, like Cursed Hollow, Towers of Doom, when things went from bad to worse most of the time.
Most of the time, indeed. So we will see what the map pick is here first and how Raven is going to approach the draft. I have to assume that one of the players was the restroom or something as to why we don't have it. Okay, it's time now. Cursed Hollow, so going into what I was saying, pretty smart map pick here for how the playstyles of these two teams work. So, I mean, Rip Cho'Gall, I guess, for the perfect win rate, the dream is dead. And this is another map where you just really don't want to see the Cho'Gall. Very difficult to pull it off here. And I'm going to jump into that map in just a second. I want to see Raven try to find a way to draft some dive heroes, like try to get the Illidan draft in. You know, in the past they were famous for Artanis, but that was because of H82. They can't run heroes like that anymore, but I'd like to see them try to get Abathur Illidan. They got the Greymane, but it wasn't the perfect Greymane comp. They didn't have Tyrael with it. If they have a Tyrael Greymane and double support, maybe they can make those team fights work while also still having Greymane who can rotate around the map, have good wave clear, things like this. Just didn't get exactly, well, if they got what they wanted, they didn't execute it properly, but maybe they just didn't have what they would have liked to, and it could have been an on-the-fly Cho'Gall pick, as you were saying.
Yep. Also, I want to see Darvish showing the reason. Okay, here we go. Genji picked from the beginning. Uther ban, Anubarak ban. Instant Abathur Illidan.
Uh-oh, on the wrong side here. Going into what I was saying, but Mighty gets it.
Oops.
Well, this is what happens when you go first pick Genji on this map.
But bringing more dives in. We need more dives, not just Illidan on the other side. You have Genji now after Anubarak is banned, but you have lots of potential. You can bring in your own Leoric for the Entomb, or Diablo is something that we have not seen too much, but Diong seems to be pretty comfortable on Diablo sometimes, so that's also a very good option.
I wonder where they're going to take this one, because they don't have Uther to work with this. They don't have the Abathur with the Genji pick on this huge map. I'd like to see Dahaka, to be honest, if they're going to take a macro approach to this, which has never been Raven's style, but if you think about how other teams approach it, that would be one way. They get Rhaegar, and I like the Tyrael pick because we knew they were going to either pick it or ban it against the Abathur Illidan. So they now remove it by one way, empowering their own Genji. They have the Rhaegar for fast camp clears, so they have the better timings for those. Illidan can also hit those camp clears very quickly, but Rhaegar can help counter that.
Maybe picking their own global to not really get harassed too much, because in game number 1, they were basically out rotate. Oh, I was going to say they should bring in Dehaka, and Mighty pens it perfectly. They're not even giving them a chance to come back.
This is just basically perfect drafting from Mighty. Raven with a decent draft response here with the Tyrael pickup. They got Rhaegar, which is never going to have the same impact for wave pushing as Dahaka, but can get you that really fast camp timing. They have the support control with this, so that's why they prioritize it over the Dahaka, but now they lose the Dahaka. This response here from Mighty. For Raven, because they grabbed the Tyrael, there's not a real perfect ban here. So I'm curious to see whether they're going to take this path. Because, I mean, you don't really want to ban another support here. It's just not very strong to ban the Kharazim. Muradin ban is decent because you already know Anubarak's removed. You have a solid frontliner, so you limit the tank pool of Mighty. Who may... You can't really run Illidan Malfurion. We don't almost ever see that, but they may end up going into Stitch's Malfurion and just kind of move away from the Illidan all-in now.
Or they can go all-in. Tassadar is still open, so they can still go with the shield and Avatar as a global and secondary support, and maybe we'll see no tank. We've seen no tank team comp from Chinese teams sometimes with Illidan in them. They can go all in, pushing very heavily with the pressure, and Raven seems like they will only have the power after 10, but not this time after taking Karazim and Leeming.
Kind of a safe pick. Leeming is usually the range DPS that goes with the Illidan all-ins. Could still be the Tassadar follow-up to have Leeming for looking for the burst. It would be tankless, as you said, if that were the case. But Leeming is probably just going to be the buffer for whoever they bring in as main tank. I don't think it'll be Stitches. I wonder if we'll see a Johanna here even, with how the tanks have been removed right now. Arthas is a questionable pick here. Not totally out of the question, but could be their target. I don't think they're going to go tankless because this isn't China and this is not the way of our region. But
Arthas is pretty good, of course, against Illidan. And Tyrael can soak in some spell damage with the armor against Leeming. Azmodan!
Well, this is asking for trouble. Azmodan.
Blossom tried it once!
This is the third Azmodan this season.
And they failed.
0-2. It's been pretty low impact. Very much already countered by the Illidan, who will dive and punish him. With Karazim there as well, you've got Abathur. Azmodan will just have to hide and duck behind the walls, really, before he's just never going to find value. He'll get some value maybe at level 1, and then in the early game, he might be able to find some extra soak, but never going to be able to split push. Not going to do a bunch of damage. He will delay tributes. You know, that's what he's been used for a lot here. And we knew there was a possibility of an unusual tank pick when I saw Joker laughing a lot in the camera shot there. Didn't think that it was going to be the ETC. I thought maybe the Johanna. But this can give them another global if they want to go for stage dive. And it can really hurt Azmodan in the early game.
And picking Zeratul for Raven, I think the Void Prison can have a lot of potentials to change into this game, but Azmodan, as you mentioned, will not have too much impact as Illidan will try to hunt him down.
All right, we'll see Asmo if he can break the curse, the 0-2, as we go into game number 2. Mighty with the more standard draft. We'll see if they can go to match point. In blue, it's Raven with Darvish on Genji, Hamlet on Zeratul, NMX on Tyrael, Diong on Azmodan, and Chom on Rhaegar.
In red, Mighty, Joker on ETC, BDG on Leeming, Good on Illidan, Nasang on Karazim, and Magi on Avatar.
Well, role swaps as well on the side of Raven because Diong is the only player that can play the Azmodan. So this puts NMX, who is supposed to be their main range DPS, onto Tyrael. And you would have thought that he would be playing the Genji, but not the case. Hamlin's going to be on the Zeratul. That much is normal. And Chom, of course, on Rhaegar. That much is normal. So the level 1s here, obviously, you have to kind of all in at level 1 against the Azmodan on a 3-lane map, because if you guess wrong and you don't defend, then you just get crushed if you're kind of just trying to spread out and split. So you have to do your own level 1 push. As we can see here, it's pretty even between the two teams. Obviously, should be a slight edge for Mighty. But it's Illidan too, so I mean, Illidan clears pretty quick. It's actually quite even with Abathur's Symbiote also giving some extra shielding here, some extra DPS. Slight lead will go to Mighty. And actually, they're looking for the pick onto Hamlin here. He has to back away.
They have a very strong 4-man push, and Avatar is defending top for a while. So I think this push is a very even one, actually going in favor of Raven, because if they get a push onto the top 4 from the beginning, at least one of the forts, then Asmodan will have that pushing power along with the minion with his passive. So I don't think he has to overstep the line too much, which will come for the dangers of Illidan diving in on your face all the time.
He definitely doesn't have to, but let's keep a close eye to see how many times he does, because it's always the trap with Asmodan. We've seen it played in this tournament where people are overstepping the boundaries, trying to get greedy, trying to push, like it's a solo queue game. And you have the coordination of a team like Mighty with that Zeratul, or sorry, not the Zeratul, the Illidan. Disasters can strike. Darvish is looking for the Abathur pick.
Yes, I think he is going to get it too.
Well, Symbiote's out. He knows it. It's been called out. He's asking for it. He goes in. Magi with the instant reaction. Will he get the burrow off? Don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Was on cooldown. Down he goes. So nice snipe there. That's a good play. These are the kind of moves I want to see with this comp. That's coordination. That's saying already Symbiote go in.
Yep, Genji just knowing that the Avatar was on top for the time being and sniping first kill. Nice play coming out from Maven, and that's exactly the plays that they have to be doing, because ETC with the rotations, with Illidan coming in just like this, will get them kills.
Hamlin.
Joker going in.
Yeah, he's got the movement speed. He's going to get the stun.
Got the Avatar hat, and
he's going to get it. Good's in there. Well, picks on both sides here. Unusual ones, the gank on the Zeratul, the snipe on the Abathur. Raven's going to go ahead and take this cap. It looks like with this pick on the Zeratul, they're going to have to give up the tribute. They can delay it using the Asmodan Qs. Globes here coming out. Only one, though. The second one's going to be on cooldown when it gets the channel off. So the push bot is really annoying, actually. It's actually ETC who's pushing it, funny as it is. Joker's coming around for the flank here to cut them off in the choke point. Chom gets caught by the power slide and the face melt. He's going to go down. Sick move by Joker. Remember, Joker's the ETC main. He was the most famous ETC in Korea in 2015, and he kept that reputation for a long time.
ETC's out of the meta right now, along with the changes to his passive long time before, but he's a little bit weak even if he got the passive armor on himself. That's why we don't see lots of ETC anymore, but Joker, of course, he's the popular one on ETC, making those perfect moves, perfect timings of the power slide and the face melt.
Well, they just steal the boss with this because Darvish has gone full PvE in the top lane.
4-minute boss.
He has just been pushing the top lane. He got the fort, and there's actually a little bit of pressure with the siege camp up there. Abathur's kind of struggling to clear that. He'll eventually deal with it, but this is more significant because the boss is threatening the keep wall. Darvish does come down, and we'll look to finally try to contest this boss. Look for some more Shuriken Mastery stacks, but this boss has already gotten down the keep wall. The tribute can just be easily rotated back to by Mighty. It is at least a pretty favorable spawn for Team Raven. And MX barely over the wall here.
MX barely survives, but it looks like that's not the case for Hamlin. It's very low now. Sang dashes in for the kill.
This might just be a keep. NMX is basically dead. He has to hard throw him. Asmodan way too.
Caught by the boss, gets cleansed.
Can't believe he got stuck. He got rooted by the boss and nearly died for it because cleanse was forced to use, as you said. But they get the tribute. It's actually Nasong who takes it, and now they're on curse point. They can actually get the boss to ensure that curse. Well, the top push wasn't ever dealt with by Mighty, so they end up losing that keep wall. So for the trades on like structures and EXP, it's not too bad for Raven. They're only half level behind, but they lost the tribute. And now the boss that they're looking to take before this curse is on red side. So this forces Raven to move all the way across the map to deny. Holding that nightcap for some reason. I think that was just a mistake.
The big camp was pushing along with Asmodan passive, so the top push has been very strong, as you mentioned, from the beginning of the game. Got all the walls down, so they actually caught up a lot of EXP.
Yeah, definitely.
They're not too far away.
Raven did have a quick rotation over here, so Mai doesn't even try to take the boss. Just going to try to have a better position on the tribute, which is also a favorable spawn for them. Nasong is just going to start channeling this. We'll see one Asmodan deny. Actually, not even. He's not close enough to get the denial. And Good is just going to look to go in here. The curse is live. It's actually very, very low, though. And he actually does fall down. No 10. They were so close to 10. I think that was the idea, to get 10 to force the fight here. With the palm, he didn't have. So definitely a little bit overexcited there. But look at the bot push. It is already knocking down the keep. The top lane pressure is now completely shut down. And Raven got a lucky pick here, but they're just going to have to sit back and defend. They don't have 10. It's just a pretty unfortunate situation for them.
And even Nasan going, just making sure that he can spot Zeratul whenever he comes around. Seems like he locks Judgment. They want to go all in on one target. And Genji actually holding in. Possibly we'll see X-Strike.
Well, Young's going to try to Blackpool his way out of this one, but sadly this is not going to help. Not safe behind a fort that's cursed, as it will not fire. So it went up there to try to greedily grab some extra EXP, gets punished.
Now the keep on the bottom lane is down. It will, all the minions and the catapult will go straight to the core.
Well, they never got their own boss. That's an objective that's available to them now. The blue side boss is going to be up soon, so that's something else. Here's the Judgment coming in, looking for the pick here onto BDGs, the weakest target. The palm comes in already. Ignored here, though. Very well done by Darvish. And he actually escapes there with the extra dash. Hamlin goes down next, though. Will they be able to turn this around? Dion is doing a lot of extra DPS in this team fight. Well, look, here comes the CC. God gets the extra heals, and Chom is the next target here. They've got the Bears to stay in the more consistent DPS. They actually went too far. They'll find themselves dying to the tower.
Yeah, towers are MVP. I think they did a lot of damage, possibly even more damage than Asmodan. But
this is a dirty series, G-Clef.
The cleanse from Chom has been very on point. Genji, I think he could have gotten caught in the mosh, but he was cleansed. So he got a lot more damage coming out with the Dragon Blade at the same time. And he also saved Asmodan back in the bottom lane when they were pushing forward the Keem. Chom, very great cleanse today. And we really didn't see good cleanse from Joju coming out in phase number 1, but now here it is.
Okay, they're diving in. BDG gets the palm again. The Void Prison. See if that actually makes it go off here. Doesn't look like it. BDG is forced into a corner. Gets the dominance, though, to get some more health back. And the Aldruins is used too early. They do eventually get the kill there onto Li Ming. Nasong is dead as well. Looking for more here. As good as trying to retreat. Joker is probably not getting out of this one. Does have the face melt, though. It looks like Darvish is going to shift targets.
He shoots and he scores, but not a 3-point.
It was not a 3-point shot, you're right. The boss is still pushing the top keep wall, by the way, and catapults are stacking up bottom. So the prolonged fight here wasn't disastrous for Mighty, even though they definitely lost it. They have the macro advantage, if you will, with the map presence and the mini-map.
Judgment actually coming out in this pretty good timing for Raven. They're making it work. That was crazy to see because they were all in small choke point. Genji was doing massive damage onto multiple targets on Mighty's side. That's exactly how they should fight. Go into the choke point, not really fight in the big open area, so they can also bring in the Judgment for possibly a little more damage AoE.
The targeting onto BDG is just really good, and they have definitely made him their priority. Azamodan finishing his quest and having a lot of extra burst damage now from range. His all shall burn when he's protected in these fights, when they have enough peel for him to just sit there and burn it. You can see what a difference Azamodan can actually make in team fights. So the best Azamodan we've seen so far, but still feels like it's falling flat overall. Magi with the early clone here. Perhaps they thought they were going to go straight to the boss, look for some picks. Unfortunately, not able to do so. There is lane pressure here on the bottom, but because that's right around the boss, I don't think Mighty can really look for this one. They're just going to back away here.
Because the clone's dead, I think they were just pressuring a little bit more so that they can make sure they get the camp on the other side. And here, they're going all in. Okay, this is a very good... It's risky, but if they can get it, I think this can give them an opportunity to come back into the game.
Sometimes you got to take risks like this. Well, we're going to see the clone coming in here again now, as we see Nasong dive in to deny this. Ancestral is too late here. The cleanses have been good, but that one was just not the greatest. Mosh Pit here is going to be the double, and that is going to make a triple. Triple kill here and boss on the lane where they already lost the keep. Chom is going to be the next to die. Only Deyoung walks out alive, but I think everybody dies in this movie, G-Clef. It looks like he's going to just hide in the Hall of Storms. If he stepped out for 1 second and got hunted, it would have been over. Well, the core is going to go down here, no doubt about it, as the boss hasn't even arrived yet. See if Deyoung survives this one. Joker looks to get the kill with the body blocks. Not going to happen.
The laser show is real. They did get the kill, but it's impossible to stop the score from going down. And game 2 going to Mighty once more.
Oh, that was a dirty second game. I think there were definitely some meaner things we could have said about some of the play we saw in that game, but the one thing I could say nice about Raven was that the targeting on BDG was really well done. The coordination in that fight was pretty solid. The gank attempts we saw were cool. I like Darvish getting the kill onto Abathur in the top lane. Just moves like that. I mean, there were moments of brilliance. It was the best. Okay, best is a strong word. It was the most successful Asmodan we've seen of the 3, but he still sits at the 0% win rate.
RIP. Well, I think he had a very good chance, and he did not like go way too past the line where he could not step over. I don't think Illidan used the hunt even once in this game. Maybe just once.
I mean, there were no epic hunts. Okay, that's for sure. But I think he definitely used it before.
I didn't really hear any. You are not prepared at all. So maybe 0, but.
He may not have, but there were definitely not any huge impactful ones where I was like, oh, they got the stun, and that's how they won the fight. So, could have been Metamorphosis, could have just hidden it the whole game and been the first player to ever win an HGC game without picking a heroic. But the dominant performance of Mighty continues. They are up 2-0. They are on match point. When we come back, we're going to find out what Game 3's map will be and if they can close out the series.